here's a quick walkthrough of the API spreadsheet, focusing on the stuff that's specific to looking up apps data and graphing some of that. So I'm starting in the same place that you would be starting. So I've shared a version of the API sheet here. I've actually shared this with my personal account for demo purposes. And so I'm going to have to make a copy of this that's my own. So we'll just do copy of API spreadsheet. And this is the only way I've found of sharing this with other people. So now I have my own copy that I can edit. There's a bunch of stuff over here that you might want to just delete because it refers to my work. But this is the section where you set the start year, start month, end year, end month for whatever data you're looking up. You can come down here. You can put in a list of domains. And there's also some support for segments, where you paste in the link that you get out of Pro for a segment. But usually you're putting in a list of domains over here, and you can check off any number of these things and click Run to run them as a batch, or you can click just Run this to create the one little analysis. But for this, we're going to be focusing on the apps section, which is over here a little bit to the right. It's still going to use some of the date and time information. The limitations on app data are a little bit different, so you don't have to worry about that too much except for the end date and whether it's worldwide or US. If you run this analysis that is iOS plus Android, it will pull in just US data because that's where we have the best iOS data, and it'll try and give you a consolidated report. There are a couple of predefined lists that I have put into the system. So if we want to look up all the dating apps or all the social apps or all the travel apps, we only have a few of these defined so far, but for example, rideshare, I'll say load apps list, and right away it's going to tell me that it needs some authorization first. So I have to give it permission to work with the Dave Carr at Carr Communications account, because that's where I am right now. And let's see, I'll run this again. And right away it's going to say, please enter your API key. So you have to have your own personal API key entered in here. You can't use mine. And it does prompt you also to put in your name and contact information that's useful for things that we might share with the press. And this time it actually ran. So it pulled in the IDs for both Android and iOS for these apps. And so if I click now on iOS plus Android, it should come back after a minute or two with a spreadsheet that gives me data on iOS, on Android, and what I'm trying to use more with reporters, because I think they want something simple, is a consolidated ranking of where these things stack up. So here's their relative size and who's growing the most, and we can do that over time if we want. And we have that for the combined stat as well as for iOS and Android. Now, if you're looking up something where we don't have a predefined list and we want to add that in here, say I was building my dating apps from scratch, so I would put in, say, match. And we're just doing a keyword search of our database of apps. And it's going to come back with a bunch of things that are not actually appropriate for what we're looking for. But we do have match dating in here. So what we're going to have to do is sort of edit this. That's not what I wanted. All right, so we're going to move this up to the top. And we're just going to delete everything that doesn't apply here. Again, not necessarily perfect, but this is a way of discovering the apps that we actually want to look up. And you'll notice that they are highlighted as links. And it should be that if I click on this link, it will actually take me to the App Store, which you might want to check just to make sure that we've actually pulled in the correct match app. There are copycat apps out there that have similar names. There are also cases where the company might have multiple apps for different purposes, and you have to figure out what is the representative app for the thing that you're looking for. If I do Tinder, it should be a little bit more targeted. So this time we got the Tinder app that we want right up top, and we have a few others that are in here as well. So I showed you the iOS plus Android lookup, which is US specific, at least for now. We're supposed to be getting UK soon. So even though over here it says worldwide, it's ignoring that and it's making it US, because US is what we've got. For these others, you can pull either worldwide or US. It might work for some other locales as well. But for example, this will give us the latest 28 days of data for, this is dating, not rideshare. So instead of giving us that consolidated view, it's going to give us specifically what's going on with daily active users. This doesn't look right at all. Well, maybe it is actually. It's just that Match is so much smaller than Tinder that it looks almost insignificant. So we can look up daily active users, which has been very useful for example, for the Threads app. We can also look at the time that people spend with the app. So I'll say dating again, and it will say dating Android daily time. And so this is minutes spent with the app. And again, Tinder users spend far more time swiping left and swiping right than Match users, but at least in this one, Match doesn't look quite so insignificant. And again, this might look different if we pulled for the US versus worldwide as well. So that's the basic process that I have for looking up this data. I am planning to add another button in here that would be for pulling retention numbers. Right now, you can do that through Pro, as long as you're making sure that you're careful not to pull the data AI version of that. So check this out and let me know if you have questions.